Welcome back to the Deep Dive. This is where we take a look at different sources, dig in deep, and try to pull out the insights that really count for you.
Helping cut through all the noise.
Exactly. And today, we're diving into something that feels, well, really relevant to our usual focus on inner peace, mindfulness, self-love, personal development. We're exploring the benefits of lifelong learning.
Absolutely. We've got this article here. It's from the University of Cincinnati, and it really lays out a strong case for why continuous learning isn't just like a nice extra thing,
Right.
but something that's genuinely beneficial for, well, lots of different parts of your life. It's maybe less about getting another degree.
Yeah, definitely less about the paper.
And more about embracing a certain kind of mindset, really.
That's the goal today, then. Let's unpack this source, pull out those key nuggets, showing how staying curious, staying engaged in learning, how that can enrich your life.
And connecting it back.
Connecting it right back to well-being, finding that inner peace, and really embracing your authentic self. I think you might be surprised, honestly, at how closely learning new stuff connects to just, well, overall happiness and fulfillment.
Yeah, I found some connections, too, that weren't immediately obvious before looking into this.
It's not always the first thing people think of, is it?
Right.
Learning often feels like, work.
Or something you have to do. For school, for a job.
Right. But this article, it frames it differently.
Yeah.
As a source of vitality, of growth all through your life.
Exactly, a lifelong thing.
Okay, so let's get into it. The first thing the article does, which I found really helpful, actually, is define what they mean by lifelong learning.
Good starting point.
Because, yeah, when some people hear that, they just picture, like, years back at university.
Another degree, endless studying. But that's not quite it here. The source defines it much more broadly.
How so?
Well, it talks about the continued educational experience using things like non-credit courses.
Yeah.
Maybe at a community college or online, or even educational travel, community service, where you're maybe learning new skills or about different ways people live.
So less formal stuff counts too.
Totally. The key, according to this article, isn't the piece of paper you get at the end. It's the activity itself.
The engagement.
Yes. Engaging your brain, staying active physically too, and importantly, keeping up healthy social relationships. Learning happens everywhere, basically.
That reframing feels important. Less about the building or the certificate, more about just being active, curious, willing to maybe step outside your comfort zone a bit.
It's a mindset, like you said earlier.
Yeah. And the first big benefit the article talks about, and this one jumped out at me because it ties so clearly into our themes, is how lifelong learning is genuinely good for your brain and your mental well-being and your self-esteem. All three.
This is where it gets really interesting, I think. The article goes into some detail. It says that by consistently learning new skills, could be anything, a language, coding, even a really complex hobby like, I don't know, woodworking, you're actively helping keep your brain healthy, alert. The process itself, grappling with new ideas, making new connections, finally mastering something tricky, it literally changes your brain.
And they mention research too, don't they, about potentially pushing back cognitive decline.
Yes, exactly. The article hints that research suggests this kind of, continuous mental workout could potentially help delay or maybe even stave off some age-related cognitive issues, memory problems, things like that.
It reinforces that whole use it or lose it idea for the brain.
Pretty much like a muscle, right? The more you ask it to do new things, the more resilient it seems to get.
That potential impact on brain health is obviously massive, huge deal. But the article also talks about the more immediate psychological stuff, like boosting self-esteem. How does learning connect there?
Well, the source explicitly links lifelong learning to better self-esteem. It says it fosters feelings of competency, of purpose, and hope.
Okay, break that down. Competency.
Think about it. Every time you learn something new, you gain a skill.
Right.
Or some knowledge. It builds that sense of mastery. You can do something you couldn't before.
Ah, right.
And that feeling of, hey, I can learn this, or I actually understand this now, or look, I can do this.
Yeah.
That's really powerful. It pushes back against feeling, inadequate or stuck.
See, this is the direct link back to our core themes. That feeling of competency, that sense of purpose you get from chasing something that you find meaningful. The hope that there's always more to explore about yourself, about the world. These are like foundational blocks for building self-love, for finding inner peace.
Absolutely.
When you feel capable, when you feel engaged, it definitely boosts your mental well-being. It helps quiet down that inner critic sometimes.
Yeah, the one that tells you you're not good enough?
Exactly. It gives you a sense of accomplishment. It makes you feel more present, more mindful, because you're actively interacting with the world in new ways.
Yeah.
The article suggests this isn't just some nice side effect.
Yeah. No, it's presented as a primary outcome. It's fascinating how just the simple act of, say, signing up for a class or picking up a book on something new, something that should ideally be fun, driven by interest, can ripple outwards like this,
Yeah.
affecting brain function, overall mental health, and that really crucial sense of self-worth. It creates a positive feedback loop, doesn't it?
Totally. You learn, you feel more competent, your self-esteem goes up.
Which then might make you feel braver or more confident to try learning something else new.
Yeah, exactly. And, okay, while the personal well-being stuff is really core for us here, the article also points out that the benefits spread outwards too. It moves on to how continued education can also, help your career.
Right, the practical side. In today's world, the workforce landscape is just constantly shifting.
Always changing.
Industries evolve, new tech pops up, skills get outdated fast. So the article argues that being a lifelong learner isn't just helpful in this situation, it's becoming essential.
It makes you more resilient.
Definitely. It's one of the best things you can do for your employability, your career resilience. It shows employers, potential or current, that you're proactive, that you're adaptable, that you're willing to learn new things to keep up.
Makes perfect sense. If everything's changing, the person standing still is, going to fall behind someone who's actively updating their skills and understanding.
Right.
And the article makes the point that you don't need a full formal degree for this kind of career boost, right?
That's a really key point they make. The lifelong learning they're talking about includes those non-credit courses we mentioned.
Okay.
You could, dip your toe into something new with a workshop or an online certificate, maybe specifically to explore a passion that might lead to a career change, or just to quickly learn a skill that's suddenly relevant in your job.
So it shows you can pick things up quickly.
Exactly. It shows skill acquisition, yes, but maybe more importantly, it shows that adaptability mindset that employers really value. It's proof you can evolve.
Okay, so we've got the internal benefits, brain, mind, self-esteem, and the external career advancement. Then the source moves on to gaining practical skills and, interestingly, growing your social and professional networks. It groups those together.
It does, yeah, and the link becomes pretty clear when you think about how you often learn or use these skills. On the practical side, the article gives some really tangible examples, relatable stuff.
Like what?
Like wanting to get fluent enough in Spanish to actually chat with people on vacation, or finally learning to cook those fancy meals you see online instead of being intimidated by a recipe.
Ah, yeah, I feel that.
These aren't just abstract ideas. They're skills that genuinely make your daily life richer, more capable, more independent, maybe.
Practical skills are obviously great. Learning to fix something, make something, it's satisfying. But how does learning to cook or speak French connect to growing your social networks? That was the other part.
Right. This is where the source brings in research, and it's a really powerful point. It says studies show we're kind of hardwired to look for relationships with like-minded people.
Okay.
Meaning people who have similar interests, similar hobbies, similar values.
Ah, okay. So taking a class or joining a learning group naturally puts you physically or virtually near people who already share something important with you.
Exactly. You're not starting from scratch trying to find common ground. The common ground is the learning itself, the shared interest.
That makes sense.
The article even mentions studies finding that people form some of their deepest bonds over passions, hobbies, specific interests, maybe even rare ones.
It gives examples, right?
Yeah, really nice specific ones that make it real, like finding a new group of friends who are all super into cheese-making techniques,
Cheese making.
or practicing your French accent together in a conversation group. The shared, maybe, vulnerability of learning something new.
Yeah, putting yourself out there.
The shared passion, the shared goal. It creates this unique space for connection, for bonding.
I love those examples. They make it so concrete. It's not just abstract networking. It's real connection through doing something together. And linking this back to our themes. Finding people who get your unique interests. Bonding over shared passions. Finding your tribe, so to speak. That's absolutely fundamental for personal development, for embracing your authentic self.
Definitely.
You find people who see you, who appreciate you for what genuinely excites you, for the things you're curious about. That feeling of belonging, of being accepted for your interests, it's vital for self-love, for a strong sense of self.
So learning becomes this pathway, a pathway to community, to belonging.
It profoundly shows that lifelong learning isn't always like a lonely thing you do by yourself with a book.
No, it can be inherently social. It can significantly enrich your relationships, your sense of community, really at any age.
Which leads us perfectly into the fourth benefit,
Does it force life?
exploring new passions just to enrich your life with personal fulfillment.
This feels like the capstone, maybe. It really does feel that way. It builds right on that previous point about bonding over hobbies and interests, but it shifts the focus more inward.
Towards yourself.
Yeah, by giving yourself permission to just explore what genuinely excites you,
Yeah.
what sparks your curiosity, without any outside pressure. No grade, no job requirement hanging over you.
Just because you want to.
Right. You're connecting deeply with your own motivations, your own interests. The article frames this exploration as a source of really profound personal fulfillment.
And that deep connection with yourself, with what you're naturally drawn to. That is core self-discovery. It is embracing your authentic self. It's about honoring your own curiosity, following that inner pull, and letting yourself just enjoy pursuing it because it interests you. That pursuit is personal development in action.
It's not doing something because you should to get ahead.
Right. But because you want to explore something that just, well, lights you up inside.
And the fulfillment comes from that self-directed exploration, doesn't it? That sense of discovery, the little wins when you understand something new, and the connections you build doing it, both with the topic itself and maybe with other people who love it too. The source presents this as maybe the most rewarding part, the pure joy, the enrichment learning brings to your inner life.
Okay, so let's do a quick recap. We pulled 4 key benefits from this University of Cincinnati article. First,
Brain health, mental well-being, self-esteem, big ones. Boosting cognitive function potentially, but definitely building competency and purpose.
right. Second, career advancement, keeping you adaptable, relevant, often through less traditional learning paths.
Third, practical skills that enrich your daily life and growing your social networks by connecting you with like-minded people. That dual benefit.
Yeah, the skills and the people together. And fourth,
Personal fulfillment. Exploring passions just for you, driven by self-discovery, honoring your authentic curiosity.
it really paints a comprehensive picture, doesn't it? It goes way beyond just thinking about education for jobs or degrees.
Much, much broader.
Yeah, this source really shows that lifelong learning is so much more than, climbing the ladder or getting a certificate. It's deeply connected to your personal well-being,
To your mental health.
your sense of belonging, and ultimately your fulfillment, your ability to embrace who you really are. It's like an investment in you, all parts of you.
And the article's final thought really lands that, I think. It presents lifelong learning not just as things you do, but as a powerful mindset.
A way of approaching life.
Exactly. A mindset that enriches pretty much every aspect of life. It emphasizes that committing to ongoing education, whatever that looks like for you, classes, just exploring a community group, travel,
Anything, really.
allows you to keep growing, adapting, finding joy at every stage. It really does open doors. Better cognitive health, maybe, a stronger career, deeper connections, or just that deep personal fulfillment from following your curiosity.
So if we take all of this in, the brain boost, the better self-esteem that helps with inner peace and self-love, the new connections, helping you embrace your authentic self, the pure joy of just exploring something new because you want to. What does this mean for you listening right now?
Yeah, what's the takeaway?
Considering all these benefits pointing towards, well, greater well-being, personal growth, what's maybe just one single new thing you might be curious enough to start learning next?
It doesn't have to be huge.
No. Just for the joy of it, for the potential it holds, for your own inner peace, your own growth. What little spark of curiosity are you going to honor today?
It's a simple question, but it could lead somewhere really interesting.
It really could. Thanks for diving deep with us today. We hope this exploration maybe sparks a little bit of that curiosity in you.